If you're feeling uneasy about your relationship, there are psychological tools that can help clarify what might be wrong. One such tool is the stages of change model, which helps identify the different stages people go through when they need to make important changes in life. The first stage is precontemplation, where you might sense something is off, but aren't fully aware of the extent of the issue. You may feel discomfort, but you haven't yet pinpointed the cause. In this stage, many people aren't aware they're in a toxic relationship and don't see a way out. It can be hard to recognize toxicity, especially when it's mixed with moments of affection. Many people, like Ashley, who stayed in a toxic relationship for years, look back and see warning signs they missed at the time. For her, these included jealousy, manipulation, emotional withdrawal, and constant criticism. Despite these red flags, she rationalized her partner's behavior, believing that prioritizing his needs over hers would prove her love. Over time, the emotional whiplash of being ignored for days or weeks worsened after they married, as the silent treatments extended into months. The next step is contemplation, where you start considering changes but haven't yet taken action. To help you reflect on your relationship, it's important to recognize the red flags that indicate toxicity. If you notice a pattern of subtle or overt comments that invalidate your feelings, or if you feel manipulated into doubting your reality, you might be experiencing toxic behavior. Sometimes, your partner might pressure you into making decisions that benefit them more than you. Or worse, they might isolate you from your support systems by discouraging or outright forbidding contact with friends and family. More severe signs include physical or emotional abuse, which might manifest through violence, threats, or consistent emotional withdrawal that leaves you feeling powerless and controlled. If you recognize these signs, ask yourself some key questions about your relationship. How are decisions made? Are they balanced, or is your partner always in control? Who says no more often, and are important topics off limits? You might also wonder if you're allowed to talk about your relationship with others, or if your partner makes you feel guilty for opening up to friends or family. Additionally, you might reflect on how long arguments last and what they look like. Do you feel punished after disagreements? Is affection withheld, or are issues ignored rather than resolved? These are all key indicators of an unhealthy dynamic. A pivotal moment for many people comes when they start noticing physical symptoms of stress related to their relationship. For Ashley, this realization came on the way to brunch with friends, when she suddenly felt overwhelmed by guilt and anxiety, all because she feared her husband's reaction to her paying for someone else's meal. This intense anxiety, rooted in fear of verbal attacks or silent treatment, was a physical manifestation of her emotional entrapment. Once you've identified these issues, the action stage begins. This is where you actively work to make changes, whether through communication, boundary setting, or planning your exit. Clear, direct communication is essential when setting boundaries and expressing your needs. You need to be honest with your partner about how their behavior affects you, but first, it's helpful to understand your core values. Think about what truly matters to you, such as maintaining relationships with family and friends, pursuing your career, or finding peace in your everyday life. Once you're grounded in these values, you'll feel more confident in asserting yourself. For Ashley, one of her biggest regrets was not setting boundaries early on. Looking back, she wishes she had spoken up more directly about her needs and not tolerated mistreatment. If you see yourself in her story, it's important to avoid staying silent. Be clear and firm about what you expect from the relationship, and don't be afraid to speak up when things are not okay. Another crucial step is sharing your experience with trusted friends or family. Opening up about what's been happening can help you gain perspective. Often, people in toxic relationships feel isolated, and hearing someone else's viewpoint can validate your feelings. It also helps to write things down. Keeping track of events or behaviors that worry you can make the situation clearer. If you're ready to work on improving your relationship, be prepared for the discomfort that comes with setting boundaries. You might feel guilty, especially if your partner has manipulated you into believing their needs come first. However, it's important to remember that your feelings and needs are just as valid. For example, you might feel guilty for wanting to attend a social event, or for making decisions that prioritize your personal growth. But this guilt often stems from years of being blamed for others' problems. It's important to challenge these feelings by asking yourself where the guilt comes from and whether it's justified. If improving the relationship isn't possible, or if you're experiencing abuse, the next step is leaving. Exiting a toxic relationship can be incredibly difficult, especially if you're financially or emotionally dependent on your partner. It's also possible that the intense highs and lows of a toxic relationship make leaving feel overwhelming, as the emotional roller coaster can create a sense of addiction to the cycle of mistreatment and reconciliation. However, leaving is sometimes the only way to regain control of your life. Before you make your exit, it's vital to have a safety plan. You'll need a secure place to go, extra keys, and a charged phone, and make sure that family or friends know your plans. In cases where you're married or have legal ties, consulting with a lawyer beforehand can ensure you're prepared for the next steps. Once you're out of a toxic relationship, you'll likely experience a sense of relief and freedom. People who leave these situations often find that their overall well-being improves, and they regain a sense of joy and independence that was suppressed while they were trapped in the toxic dynamic. Leaving can be difficult, but the peace and growth that come afterward are well worth the effort. Ending a toxic relationship is never easy, but with careful reflection, clear communication, and a solid support system, it is possible to reclaim your life and your happiness.